Welcome, everybody. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to change the world one brave word at a time. And today, to help me with that, I have some of the amazing authors of a new book called Sacred Medicine, Mystical Practices for Ecstatic Living, here with me to celebrate. Welcome, ladies. I'm excited that you're here. So listen, hey, listeners, I have Sarah Sparks with me. She is the spiritual director at Create the Spark, where women come to amplify their inner wisdom and manifest the life of their dreams. Dr. Stephanie Grenier is the CEO of Wealthness, where they create wealth and wellness freedom strategies for families. Darlene, the Herb Mom de la Plata, helps clients co-create positive action plans for health and prosperity through abundant health and wealth services, where financial fitness and optimal well-being are inevitable. And I have Alicia Davis with me. She's a mindset coach and founder of the Creating Happy Practice, where she teaches individuals to trust the process and enjoy the journey of becoming their best self. Yeah, can you guys feel the power in this room that I have here with me right now? Let's play, ladies. So kind of in a random order today, I'm going to start with Sarah. Sarah, tell us about this amazing chapter that you wrote.
Yes, I'm the writer of Chapter 5, Amplify Your Inner Wisdom, Manifest Your Soulmate. In the very beginning, I invite those to start feeling that they are at home within themselves, because if we're going to be manifesting our soulmate partner, our soulmate clients, we must really get to know and be at home within ourselves. And also I invite people to know that they're meant for more. And that phrase, you're meant for more, means so much to me, because at a time that I was wanting to end my own life, a young woman came into my life 3 different times in 1 week, and she ended up ending her life during that week that she came into my life. And as I was reading her obituary, I heard what I would say at the time, God, now it would be more spirit. I heard Spirit say, you're meant for more. So at the very beginning of my story, I want people to know that they are meant for more. And I also end it with that.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So here I am in my life and things are showing up and I'm having feelings and thoughts. Give me an example of what is that moment of awareness for somebody, possibly, where if they just slow down long enough, they'll know they're meant for more. Like, what's showing up in life that will give me a clue, Sarah?
Yeah, everything will be going wrong. Everything will be feeling like it is hard. You'll be feeling like you're tired, worn out, pulled in many different directions. You'll be pissed, you'll be angry. And then all of a sudden, this little whisper, this little nudge, you'll get a chill, you'll get a random young girl walk into your life 3 different times. It'll be just this random event that you won't be able to not stop thinking about. And then all of a sudden, something will shift within your being and you'll know.
I love those examples. I think that listeners are going to be like, oh, yeah. Like, right. So awareness is everything. Awareness is the way into the magic. And you've got some beautiful magic in this chapter. Can you tell me a little bit more about that relationship of my dreams? What do you want to share about that?
Well, I go in depth about my own relationship. My life's work is around amplifying one's inner wisdom, because I am an expert at not listening to my inner wisdom. I spent years, and what I recognized was that if the more that I went away from my inner wisdom, the more that I ignored it, thought that if I listened to it, it would be crazy, and that I would be crazy, no one would believe me. The more that I got down into the rabbit hole of depression, despair, hopelessness, and that sort of thing, but the more that I tuned into it, the more happier, the better I was feeling, the more joy, the more ease. And so I give some exercises to do that I did for myself about this dream man, and you'll be able to read more about it. I had a dream. I didn't listen to it for 10 years. And then walking on a beach after my friend was like, you need to go away with me because you're being such a grouch. And I tried to use proper language during this time, but she called me a big bee. And so we went away, and on that beach, the man manifested, and he's now my husband. And we have two Sparkses, two little souls that came to us. Both girls came to me as souls first. So it all starts though with yourself, and knowing yourself. Well, I didn't share in the story because I try to keep it short and sweet, but one of my life's lessons is that you don't have, like finding love, you don't have to give up yourself to find love. It's when you truly love yourself and are at home with yourself.
That is beautiful. All right, did you catch it? Sarah manifested, didn't she? I mean, I can't help myself here. Like, yeah, that is so awesome. Sarah, thank you so much for being here. And to all of you, I'm going to say a couple of big thank yous. So first of all, Jen Pisano, thank you so much for your vision and your mission for this book and bringing all of these amazing authors together. We would not be here without you. It's been an incredible project. And to you authors and all of the authors in the project, hey, thanks for saying yes and stepping up and being willing to share the private moments so that people would really understand where you're coming from before you then teach them your sacred medicine. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but let me move on to Stephanie. Stephanie, talk to me about your beautiful chapter.
Well, interestingly, as you mentioned, it's very personal, and it's mostly based on my relationship with my mother. And the chapter 22 is the right of the womb, where you are the creator of your destinies. And kind of piggybacking on Sarah, I mean, we manifest whatever comes into our life, and whether or not it's a successful manifestation or a learning manifestation. It's not good or bad, it's good or learning experience. Then we take that and move forward with what we have. But what we need to do is remember that we bring it to us. And so based on my feeling of being a victim of a grouchy mother, and then finally coming to terms with that and repairing that relationship allowed me to manifest all the beautiful things in life that I thought I deserved. And I think that once we can get past the negative emotions of, feeling put down and not worthy, then we can create the life of our dreams. But we have to know what those dreams are and what it is that we want, and believe that we deserve it.
Well, so you hit it on the head there with something at least that resonated with me. We have to get past the negative emotions. So can you pause there and talk about that just a little bit more? It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I'm sure many would say, including my siblings, that my life wasn't a bad life. It was a great life, actually. It's just that I always felt put down by my mother, and never felt like I could flourish and blossom like I knew I could, because no matter what I did, it wasn't good enough. And I know a lot of people, have that experience, but if you believe within your heart and your soul that you are good enough, it doesn't matter what anybody else believes. It's just when we're under their roof or their power, we have to pull our own power from within. And
yeah, and I sometimes think that the lessons with the parents are about moving through whatever that is you need to get to where you are today. Of course, we can look in retrospect, right? And we can thank our parents for the things they brought into our life. I mean, I wouldn't be sharing brave words if I didn't have to move through a lifetime's worth of a worthiness journey as well. You know, anyone else resonate with the not good enough thing and the word, right? Like, it's like, oh my goodness. But, and in the moment it was rough, but now I'm like, yes, thank you. For me, it was my dad. So thanks, Dad. Like, you know, thank you for playing that role, because I would never be doing what I'm doing now if it weren't for that ability to move through that and that building up my warrior skills. Does that resonate with you, Stephanie?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me more about that.
Well, my dad was my hero. So he was the one that rescued me when Mom was too hard on me, and gave me away just to get away to be with him. And I had a lot of siblings and cousins, so we always had a good time with them. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
yeah, no, I mean, I know it resonates with a lot of people. Thank you, Stephanie.
you're welcome.
Darlene, your turn. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Well, thank you, Laura. My chapter is number 25. I am the last chapter in this beautiful book. And my chapter is called Your Life is Your Medicine. And it really is about taking the simple strategies to create a limitless future. And when I say that, I think it comes from a place of growing up and not really having a plan, not really knowing that we were in charge of our own destiny. And you know, my parents were teenagers. They were 15 and 17 when they got married, and I came along just a few months later. And they didn't have a plan. They didn't know about being parents or being adults even. And so it was a really interesting, completely different upbringing than the kids around me. My best friend at the time, my mother was 24 when her mother was 42, and that was pretty, you know, it was pretty normal like that. All my friends, their parents were older. So I grew up kind of winging it, you know, kind of a latchkey kid, kind of, you know, on my own, doing my own thing, and then feeling independent, but spiraling into real life without a map at all. And so, you know, why I could get through things, and you know, I always had a job and I always had something going on, and I was able to, you know, get married, have kids, do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, without a plan, I just found myself in a really horrible situation one day. And I thought, how in the heck did I get here? You know? And so that's kind of where my shift started.
So tell me a little bit more about what you're offering in your tools section. So you guys, these books are incredible stories, but we really wanted to move through to giving you readers a way to practice, because these books are toolkits of awareness tools and practices and different ways you can move through. We need all the ways, right? Because we have all the kinds of people and they need to hear different possibilities for healing. So Darlene, tell me a little bit more about what you're offering in yours.
So for me, what I discovered, it really ended up being something super simple that shifted my life. And I wanted to be able to share the simplicity of that. You know, we're all hunting for gurus and the next great book and the how-to, and we're paying all this money for coaches and leaders. And while all that stuff can be good, what I found is it started with a decision and a commitment to want to be someplace else more than I wanted to be where I was at. And once I did that, I had to discover the tricks that made that possible. And when I started learning about the vibration of words and how that actually transforms everything, I was in a place where I needed free things. I needed things that could transform my life that were free. And so I spent a lot of time at the library and all this stuff. And I discovered this idea that words they had transformative power. And I thought, what have I got to lose, right? So I just started practicing everything that I was saying. And I mean, I kind of lay that out a little bit in how they can actually transform. They have a creative power to the place where I kind of go back to God didn't say, he didn't think, let there be light. He said, let there be light, right? So there's vibrational power and creative power in the sound itself. And so starting with the decision, adding to transformational words, and then kind of really finding your divining rod. So I decided that I had come out of a scary, horrific, I say I ran away from home in the year 2000 with my 4 kids in a van from Texas, came to Georgia, and I decided I didn't want to be scared anymore. I didn't want to live in fear anymore. And so I had to find my divining rod. So for me, that was joy. I decided if it wasn't going to bring me joy, I didn't want to do it. And people say, well, you can't do that. Why can't I? It's my life. And I will be a better influence on my children and anybody who takes the time to spend with me if I am operating from a place of joy. And if it didn't bring me joy, I wasn't going to do it. And people were like, you just can't do that. Life has unhappy things. And well, you don't have to participate in that. And so anyway, so the divining rod was really important. It's also free, changing your mind is free. Transformative words are free. Prayer and meditation is free. All of these things. And I really put together just free things that can transform your life. And, then later, when you start changing, then you can invest in all the things. You don't want to clean your house because it doesn't bring you joy, hire a maid. You don't want to, you need a little extra oomph, hire a coach. All those things are great, but you can get there first for free.
Yes, yes, you can. I love it. I wrote down your words have power. There is creation power in the vibration itself. So speaking it out loud. I love that. Thank you, Darlene.
Could I piggyback on Darlene?
What's that?
May I add something to Darlene?
Please.
Darlene is the queen of manifestation. She's my dear friend. And also regarding vibrations and sound, I'm also a sonic healer and I've been studying that for quite some time. And she's right on point when it comes to what you speak comes to fruition. And it's also what you think, but the louder you speak it, the sooner and better it comes to you.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. I love it. You guys know that I could talk all day about the power of words, right? Brave words. Oh my goodness. Alicia, I can't wait to hear about your beautiful chapter. Tell us.
So I wrote chapter 4. The title of my chapter is Manifestation 101, Alignment, Taking Inspired Actions to Create Desired Outcome. So basically for me, it was the evolution of me. I grew up in a traditional family with very solid or firm ideas, or really what I learned is attachment to what life should be and what life should look like. And so I like to call it a box. If you think of it like a cereal box with these labels. And I was going along in life, checking off the labels of this box that I had allowed myself to be put in until I realized it was not serving me. It was not serving me at all. And I wanted something else, didn't really know how to get it or even where to start in getting it, but I knew it was so much more than what I was living and what I was doing and checking off these labels because it wasn't making me happy. So I thought these were the things to do in order to be happy and to be successful. And I was successful, but I wasn't satisfied. So I started doing things and incorporating things in my life to create the life that I wanted. And so for me, manifesting is definitely a big part of it. And I wanted these things so bad, but wanting it was not enough. I had to learn to take action. And it wasn't just any action, it was inspire action to create the life that I wanted. So that's what this chapter is about.
Yeah, so this is another one, like I think we need a whole podcast on this at magical action taking, because we think a lot of stuff in our head, don't we? And we think all of these wonderful things and that's where that energy and vibration starts. But if we're not doing something about it, and even speaking it out loud can be one of those inspired actions, that's awesome. But tell me a little bit more about how do you know it's inspired action? I call it aligned action as well. So,
Right.
yeah,
So
how do
that's
we
why
know?
alignment.
Yeah.
So basically, what I figured out is there's a knowing that we have. We, some people call it your gut, some people call it instinct. There's a knowing, but I think what happens is we learn to ignore it. We learn to ignore it as children. It's like that little voice that tells you stuff to do, and you, I think we ignore it so much that it kind of lies dormant, but it doesn't ever disappear. And so I learned to do things to tap into that little voice so I could hear it and be very clear. Things such as not manifesting, things such as meditating. So meditation is where it started for me, meditating, and then journaling, just actually writing out things that I wanted to happen and see, and then coming up with things that I thought I should do in order to get there. And so some of the things that I thought I should do worked. Some of the things I thought I should do didn't work. But the point is, I was aligning myself still with the things that I wanted just by taking the action, just by taking a step. I started to affirm myself. I started looking in the mirror and telling myself, you are happy. I am happy. I started telling myself, I am enough. So whether it works, whether it doesn't work, it's okay. I'm okay. Just keep moving, keep pushing, keep pressing toward the direction you want to go. And it's all going to work out for you just because of your intentionality. It was about being intentional about trying to reach the destination that I decided I wanted to go in.
And what I love about this is there is no wrong action
Right.
because, yeah, do you want to talk about that for a sec?
Absolutely. It's the intentionality. It's the intentionality of it. So it's the energy behind it. It's the frequency. It's the vibration. It's all of that. But when you're intentionally taking action, one of my favorite books, The Alchemist, basically talks about when you want something, the universe will conspire to give you that thing that you want. So your actions don't always have to be perfect. Sometimes they don't even make sense. Like, I did this, but oh my goodness, look at how that worked for me. But it's that inspire action and the energy that you're putting out, it's gonna come back to you in ways sometimes you could not even imagine how wonderfully it will work out for you just by taking that inspire action and being intentional. The key is intentionality, being intentional about taking the action.
Okay, so can I just comment and give a thank you for the universe for putting all of these manifesting queens in my one Zoom room today together? Because if you guys haven't like self-combusted from the energy yet, I don't know when you will, right? It's really, really awesome. The other thank you to you all is thanks for understanding that it takes multiple voices because there are so many different kinds of people. One person hears it your way and one person hears it another voice's way, right? It's all of the voices, all of the tools, all of your all's unique badassery that the world needs. So I appreciate you all so much collaborating with each other. And that is a big, big gift. Okay, so Darlene, I'm starting with you on this next question, and I'm going to come around to all of you with this one, but here's how I think about this. So we put ecstatic in our book title, ecstatic living, not just so living, right? There was a point in my life when knowing there was more to life was like screaming inside of me. I felt it physically. I hadn't been listening to the whispers, so my body started to shout louder about it. It was chest pain for me. And I think with that, we've gotten good at the suffering, and it's time to understand what's possible in terms of joy. So what do you want to share about living an ecstatic life, that possibility?
So I have a tool I like to use with people, and that is crafting your perfect day. And this can be a very telling thing, but you include every possible nuance from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you fall into bed at night and go, holy crap, that was like the most awesome day ever. And, but you, what kind of, are you in a deluxe sheets? Are you in a hammock? Are you in a tent? Are you in a 5-star hotel? Do you hear the ocean? Do you hear bears outside? I mean, where are you? And then does somebody bring you coffee? Do you get up and make coffee? Do you hate coffee? Does somebody bring you fresh juice? Do you do yoga? Do you go to work or do you go play tennis? You know,
Coffee, no bears. Coffee, no bears. All right, 5-star. Yes. There, you guys want to
craft
come?
every detail, every single detail. And then you go back and look at it and you backwards craft it. And if you practice this every day, those things actually start showing up because you're speaking it out loud and you're making it, you're giving it the emotion, you're giving it the joy level, the ecstatic level that will bring those things to you. It's the emotion is the yo-yo string that pulls to you the things that you imagine for yourself. And that's really the trick. It's feeling it now before you have it will bring it to you. Wishing for it takes longer, but
I love that.
Imagining it's already here is the juju sauce, you know.
I love it. I've been a journaler since I was a teenager, and I didn't get this particular homework that you're talking about until much later in my adult life. And I thought, ooh, I hadn't even thought about what my perfect, ideal, blissed out, ecstatic day would be, right? I had so much fun with that journaling exercise. So if you're listening to this, y'all go get your notebook right now and start on that homework that Darlene just gave you. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Darlene. Alicia, I'm moving to you with the same question. So, you know, people move through life kind of zombie-ish sometimes, and they don't really get that there's more. But I think deep down inside, we can all feel that there's more. Talk about this a little bit. And unmute, girl. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. So definitely, I think a lot of times people do feel that yearning for more. But when things don't look like they want them to look, I think they get content in just doing what they were already doing. And so I like to think of it in terms of acceptance and surrender. And like Darlene said, gratitude. So basically, accept things as they are, where they are, free from judgment. The things that you don't really know what to do with, just surrender it. Sometimes that's all it takes is you don't even have to carry this. It's okay to just lay it down. It's all right. And then just being mindful and in the present moment, enjoying the simple things. Right now, just sitting in my car is beautiful. It's beautiful just to be outside right now. Just for me to be on with you wonderful ladies and sharing this energy, just to be in the present moment, feeling what you feel. And then after accepting and surrender, I call it blessings and lessons. So in life, everything doesn't always work out the way you want it to work. And that's okay. Sometimes it's the lesson that you needed to learn, and sometimes the actual blessing is the lesson. And once again, you accept it for what it is. And if you don't know what to do with it again, surrender it because we don't know if we have another life. If this is your only life, enjoy it. Why not? Be happy, be blissful, and live definitely ecstatic. That's the goal. And the only limit are the ones you place on yourself. So don't place any limits on yourself. There's a field of potential and infinite possibility.
Yes, and you're making me think of a quote that I've read lots of different ways, but everything happens for us. And when you know that, you can do these things like you're saying to surrender and lay it down, and everything is happening for me, whether I can see it right then or not.
Well, with the 4 agreements, even not taking things personal, it's absolutely happening for you. It's not happening to you. And so when you can look at it from that vantage point, it definitely opens you up for way more happiness and joy and bliss.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so Sarah, what do you want to add to this ecstasy question we've got going on here.
So Alicia, is that how I say your name?
Yes.
When you just said it, I like want to emphasize, I wrote it down and I'm literally going to do this. Like I'm gonna like dive into my own inner wisdom and let it come out. I know that I have been in many lifetimes. I've seen myself as Yocheved, Moses' mother, and then in Egypt and all the things. So I know that this, so instead of it being like, this is my one and only lifetime, what if this is my last lifetime? And then I wrote down, how would I show up differently? So I'm going to take that. So I just wanted to emphasize that. That was good. So ecstatic living. Letting go. So this quote came from me from spirit. I don't know, somebody probably already had it because we're all connected to all the things of all the universe, but the quote that came to me from spirit was, let go of who you thought you needed to be to step into who you have been called to be. Allow yourself to become. So for me, in regards to my chapter, I don't actually coach people on manifesting their soulmate, but it ends up happening because people come to me wanting to fix some sort of relationship, and listening to your inner wisdom, amplifying your inner wisdom ends up bleeding over into every relationship. So for me, it was for me to let go of who I thought I needed to be. I thought I needed to emulate the relationships that I seen growing up. And I thought that once someone was married and they began to despise each other and become just apart or live or sleep separately or whatever, not my own parents, that's just what I've seen around me. I just thought, well, that's just normal. And I picked up The Secret. I was a Parks and Rec director at the time, and an intern was like, I really think you would like this book. So I was reading it and I was like, holy Jesus, I can create my own life. And my husband was sitting, my ex-husband now was sitting like behind me on a sofa. I was like, I am doing this. And so I was like, reading the book going, I am not going to be living in this house. I am not living in Iowa. I am not being married to this man. Like, this is it. And so like, it comes from within. I was just on the beach just this past weekend, and there was this knowing that came over. Well, we've all been talking about this knowing, and this knowing came over me. I am buying a condo on the beach and or house. I'm going to walk out from my home and go for a run every single morning. I am watching the sunset from that. It's this knowing. It's not me overthinking it. It's not me trying to vision it. It's this vision that comes to me and it's within me, and it just is all. And then, like Darlene said, it's that emotion, and like, oh, it just like, it brings you to tears. Same goes for the relationships that you want. It's like, how do I want to feel? How do I want to be respected? How do I want to be talked to? And that's one of the tools that I walk people through. So it's just saying yes and being all in on living life. And like Alicia said, this is my last lifetime here on earth. That's what I'm going to look at it as. How would I show up differently? How would I be different?
I love that so much, Sarah. And, really thanks to all of you for up-leveling the energy, because I know that there was times where I was afraid to sound too enthusiastic, right? And you can hear Sarah's passion and enthusiasm, and that's the energy. So you go be it right now in any small way that you can, is my advice to anyone listening, right? Stephanie, what do you want to add to this about ecstatic living, not just meh living? And make sure and unmute yourself, girl.
Happiness is a choice. And once we understand that, we can choose to be happy, and we can live in joy, and we can live in ecstasy and create that for ourselves. One of the tools that I use, that I shared in my chapter, is called the right of the womb. And when we come to respect and honor this beautiful earth that we're living on, and everything that surrounds us in it, we can appreciate the beauty that's been handed to us. I mean, we just were dropped in here, and I mean, just look around. You can't deny that it's ecstatic in and of itself. And so in the rite of the womb, basically we're honoring Mother Earth, and with the cycles of the moon, we're sharing ways to basically, well, the womb is not a place to store fear and pain. So we want to make sure that we create and give birth to life, and that life being joyful is a beautiful thing. And so when we share this with all the women who birth all the people, whether they're men or women, we can also share it with men too. We can release our fear so we can embrace freedom, and we can release pain so we can embrace joy, and release anger to embrace compassion, and release sadness to embrace peace. And anything else, any other words that ring true for you. Those are the things that we do in the rite of the womb ceremonies, and nurturing the rite every month thereafter, after we receive the rite of the womb. And then again, offer prayers to Mother Earth, directly to Mother Earth, to honor, respect, and appreciate her.
I love that, Stephanie, and what a responsibility that is to take on for, birthing life into the world, to think about doing your own work, your own love and joy work, and letting go of the energy that doesn't serve you anymore, so you can open up a space for that love and joy and gratitude and all the yumminess in. And especially you're bringing me back, my kiddos are 21 and 18 now, so it was a while ago, and I so wished that I had had some of this awareness then, right? And it's okay that I didn't, and the healing still happens in me and in all directions generationally. But isn't it lovely that if someone is hearing this now, and that's the stage that they're in, that they will have that gift to do some of that work, as they are pregnant, as they are birthing it in. I love that. Oh my goodness. Okay, we need a whole podcast on that one too, Stephanie. Ladies, I'm going to ask you another question. And Alicia, I'm starting with you for this one. So, we're sitting here talking about ecstasy and bliss and joy. And heck, there are a lot of people right now in the total opposite place. They're in the pit. We've had a hard year for so many different reasons. So what I want to ask all of you, and you first, Alicia, what would you offer to our listeners right now if they're stuck in that? It's been really tough, but maybe as a first stepping stone, a first place to just get on that journey towards something that feels better?
Well, I would say the first step is clarity. Get clear. Get clear about where you are, and get clear about what you want. And then get clear about what it actually takes to start moving toward what you want. I think a lot of people just use it happy, because that's the name of my business, Creating Happy. Just using the word happy is abstract. What does it mean when people say, I want to be happy? What does happy look like for you? Give me some tangible things, because that's how you measure it. For me, I figured out happy was my bills were paid. I had food in my refrigerator. That made me happy. So when I felt like I'm unhappy, I would go back to that. Okay, do I have food in my refrigerator? Yes. Are my bills paid? Yes. Okay, so it's not that I'm unhappy. It must be something else. So the key is getting very clear in terms of, once again, where you are, getting very clear on where you want to go and how you're going to get there, but with things that are measurable, things that are tangible, so you then know if you are working toward what it is you actually want.
Really nice. I love clarity, and I love when I can measure it. And that's a really powerful combination. And we have to remind ourselves sometimes, like, look at that. It's right here. I have it. I'm happy. I'm grateful. Right.
So it might be I need to work on, it might be something else. So I definitely think in the times that we've been in, appreciating those small things that do bring us joy and those small things that do bring us happiness, and thinking about, well, how, if excuse me, if I want more of that, what do I need to do, or how can I create that? Because once again, the power is within our hands to create whatever it is we want.
Yes. I was waiting for more. Thank you. Darlene, this one goes to you next. What would you offer the listener who's still stuck a little bit?
I really like what Alicia had to say. And, you know, when people come to me, oftentimes they're in a very unhappy, confused place. And like what she said, you have to be clear about where you are and what you want. If they're in, well, so even before things got bananas, people were going to jobs that they weren't passionate about, working with people they don't like, commuting 2 to 4 hours a day in cars that they're paying for, to have a job that pays for a house they don't ever spend any time in, to pay other people to take care of their kids. And they have they have something that's missing and they don't know what that is. And so the clarity part is super important, and deciding, you know, so people forget, I think, how much influence their subconscious mind, or how their subconscious mind is influenced by things that they don't pay any attention to, but that are constantly infiltrating. Turn off the news, you know, that's a big one, because fear reduces your immune system. And it just seems like no matter what channel you listen to right now, everything's designed to keep you afraid and questioning your reality. So unplug from that and find your divining rod, you know? And so for me, it would be unplug from the things that just see for a week what your life feels like if you just don't watch the news. I turned it off, I don't know, 7 months ago or something, and it just made a huge difference. You know, people are losing their minds and I still feel great. So doesn't mean, you know, perception is reality. So you can start there and just decide what kind of a day you're going to have, decide who's going to influence you, and then best of all, influence yourself. So
Nice. Yeah, I stopped
I
my
would,
cable about 5 years ago.
and I actually want to add something too to what Darlene said. Definitely unplugging from the news, but just what we consume, period, including social media, when we're looking at other people's highlight reels and then comparing them to our life. So definitely disconnecting a little bit from the news, but I would say the media that you consume, period, from social media to all of it.
Yeah, your choice. So with awareness, we get the choice. And we have to understand that we have to take that responsibility for ourselves in these ways that are habitual. So that's the retraining that needs to happen. Stephanie, what do you want to add to this in terms of just offering that listener that little stepping stone onto the path if they've been feeling really bad or stuck?
Well, first of all, just let me say, I haven't watched the news in 20 years. Well, actually, it's been, okay, yeah, almost 20 years. So that definitely changes your life right there. As a chiropractor, I spend my whole life trying to help people get over stress. And there's lots of different kinds of stress: physical, chemical, mental, or emotional stress. But I do know that the first thing that I would recommend is get your upper cervical adjusted, because that's your mood button, your attitude adjustment. That'll change your life right there. And then secondly, when we do that, we are not only releasing stress and increasing and boosting the immune system response, we can deal with things so much easier. And it's just like, calmness and ease has come over us. And I say all that to say that once we can clear the mind and clear all that stress out, then we can find some clarity. We got room to put in the good stuff and dream again. And then when we can dream, we can see all the possibilities that are out there for us. And when we work in like for the wealth space or the wealthness and wellness space that I do, all that can come to us. It can all work together once we can clear out the crap and make room for the good stuff and realize that it's actually there for us.
Yes, nice. I'm such an anatomy geek. I loved you're talking about the upper cervical place, right? So yeah, yes, people, like we get so jammed down in our postures at the computer all day, right? Like we need to open up that pathway and that diaphragm and opening space, right? By clearing out the crap. Yeah, so you guys need to go get an adjustment from Stephanie for sure. Sarah, tell me what you want to add for the listeners about this. Like, how can we get on this journey if we're really not feeling it?
Yeah, I hope that everyone's taking note, because each of you have built upon it and you've actually given all the steps. So I was going to say,
it's hard to go last, I know.
I was going to say each of them, and then I'm like, these are really all great steps. And so how would I add to that? So in listening to your divine guidance, Spirit has given me 5 steps, and it's allow, ask, receive, trust, and act. And so, I mean, there's allow and ask, and there's all the things. So I would say surrender. And I loved what you said, Alicia, about the clarity and where you're at, because, and asking yourself in that portion, is this my truth? Is this their truth, or is it the truth? Be very clear on what it is that, and Darlene, the unplug, like Spirit shared with me at the beginning of the pandemic, who are you plugging yourself into? Are you plugging yourself into divine, your source of energy, wisdom, strength, and abundance? Or are you plugging yourself into someone else's belief, a president, an economy, hate, drama, family, your husband, your wife, whatever? No, you need to plug into source. And then and then getting adjusted and having that clear-minded, which made me completely sit up straight. I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally like this.
I know.
So my only add-in would be surrender. And how I would do that, I'd go for a walk. Like, I would dance, I would sing. Yesterday, I was like, I've done all the things, Spirit, what else am I supposed to do? Spirit's like, get up, dance and sing, shake it off, surrender. You've done it all. I always love it when it's like, oh, it came to me at the last minute, the last thing that I did. Why do you think it came? It came to you at the last minute because you finally let go. So yes, surrender. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. This is yours. My burden is yours. Cast the burden off.
I love that. Surrender is powerful, powerful, powerful. Okay. So listen, we got to wrap this show up, and I'm wondering if I can challenge you all with one last question that's going to be a speed dating version. So I seriously need you all to answer this in one sentence, and you are going to roll your eyes at me because it's barely answerable in one sentence. Stephanie, why sacred medicine? What's sacred about this kind of medicine? Try for a sentence. I know you guys are going to have a tough time. I know.
It's non-toxic, natural. It comes from above down, inside out. It's
yes, I love that. Did you guys hear that? Non-toxic, natural. Perfect answer. Yes. So there's so many ways to think about this, right? So Sarah, what's your way?
This is sacred because you are sacred.
I love that. Yes. Yes and yes. And now I need Alicia's way. How are you going to talk to us about this?
It's sacred because it comes from a place of trust and from within.
Nice. We're going to get our sacred medicine from that internal place. Yes, yes, yes. And lastly, Darlene, close us out. How are you thinking about sacred medicine?
Well, we are divine manifestation, mostly invisible, and we respond best to sacred medicine.
Nice. Oh my goodness. Authors, ladies, badass, amazing experts in this sacred medicine topic. Thank you so much for what you're doing in the world and for being here today to share it with us.
Thank you.
All right, listeners. So please take the next step. Scroll down to the comments, the description box where all of their bios are and their websites, and take a little exploration. If you heard something that really resonated today, go find out what these amazing ladies are doing. They are up to some really cool things that can be game-changing things for you in your life. And of course, join us on September 8th at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page, because we're going to have our live stream book launch party. And we're going to have all the authors there to share their wisdom, little prize giveaway for our book purchasers that day. It's going to be fun. Another really awesome thing that Jen Pisano is offering as our lead author, she's got a community called the Mystic Circle. And Jen, thank you again for your mission and vision for this book. We wouldn't be here without you. It's been amazing to get these ladies together. So readers and listeners, Mystic Circle on Facebook, you can continue the conversation with one of these authors there. You can ask them a question about what they said about manifestation or energy or whatever, right? It is cool to have a community to play in the sandbox with about all of these topics. And lastly, everybody, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. What if that thing you're still a little afraid to share is exactly what someone needs to hear to change or even save their life? It is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Thank you, ladies.